Welcome, everyone, from the Growth Academy. We're about to dive into a framework that can, and I mean this, fundamentally change how you lead and communicate. This isn't about putting people in boxes or some fun personality quiz. It's about understanding the core operating system running inside the people you work with every single day.
So, let me ask you this. Have you ever been in a situation with a coworker who makes a huge decision in like 30 seconds, while you're sitting there thinking you need 3 days to process? Or, that one person who talks for what feels like 10 minutes before they even get close to the point? Yeah, we've all been there. It can be maddening.
But here's the big reframe. What if those things aren't personality flaws? What if they're just different operating systems? It's like trying to run Mac software on a Windows PC. It's not going to work. Once you understand the system someone is running, you can stop being frustrated and start being incredibly effective, because you'll know how to communicate.
Now, I want to be clear. This isn't some trendy pop psychology thing a consultant cooked up last year. The idea that human behavior falls into consistent patterns has some surprisingly deep and, frankly, very old roots.
This goes way, way back. Around 400 BC, the Greek physician Hippocrates, the guy the Hippocratic Oath is named after, suggested that our temperaments were influenced by 4 bodily fluids, or humors. Now, fast forward a couple of millennia to 1928, a psychologist named William Moulton Marston, and here's a great piece of trivia, he also created Wonder Woman, published a really influential book that gave us a modern psychological model of behavior.
So Marston's work became the foundation for something you might have heard of called DISC theory. The idea was that our behavior is shaped by how we see the world around us, is it friendly or hostile, and how we see our own power within it. These ideas have been a staple in business for decades, for one simple reason. They're incredibly useful.
Okay, so let's bring this into the present day with a really accessible, practical version. We're going to use the color framework from Thomas Erickson's work, which maps perfectly onto these historical models and gives us a simple, powerful language we can start using immediately.
And what's so fascinating when you look at it this way is how consistent the core observations have been. The assertive, choleric leader from ancient Greece, well, that's Marston's dominance type, and it's what we now call a red. The analytical, detail-focused melancholic, that's the conscientious type, or blue. The pattern holds up across centuries. It's undeniable.
All right, let's dive in. Let's talk about the reds. And we all know a red. They're the ones who walk into a room and just naturally take charge. Their entire operating system is hardwired for one thing: getting results and being in control.
Reds bring this incredible, focused drive to any team. They are ambitious, confident, and they absolutely hate wasting time. In a meeting, they're the ones cutting through the chatter saying, okay, enough talk, what's the decision? But that same drive for speed can make them seem impatient, even pushy, and they can steamroll people without even realizing it.
And this brings us to their blind spot, which is so important to understand. It's not that they're mean. They are so laser-focused on the goal that they genuinely cannot see the human cost of their speed. They don't register the emotional ripples they leave in their wake because for them, the result is everything.
Okay, let's totally switch gears. Imagine a completely different kind of energy. Let's meet the yellow. This is the social hub, the eternal optimist of the team. Their operating system is all about people, recognition, and inspiration.
Yellows are amazing at generating excitement and persuading people to get on board with new ideas. They're creative, charismatic, and they thrive on social interaction. But if you try to lock a yellow in a room by themselves for 3 days with a detailed spreadsheet, they will just wilt. They need people, they need to talk, and they can really struggle with the nitty-gritty details.
And their blind spot is fascinating. Their intention is always positive. They want to rally the troops and say, come on, we've got this. But they can't see how that boundless optimism sounds to a stressed-out team when the deadline is looming and the project is basically on fire. It can come across as completely disconnected from reality.
All right, now for a total change of pace. Let's talk about the greens. Greens are the absolute bedrock of any healthy team. Their entire operating system is driven by a deep, fundamental need for harmony, stability, and security.
Greens are the ultimate team players. They're dependable, patient, and they are incredible listeners. They're the glue that holds everything together, making sure everyone feels included and supported. But, and it's a big but, their aversion to conflict is so strong that they can be really resistant to change. If you ask a green to make a big, snap decision in a group setting, you can almost see them physically freeze up.
And their blind spot explains so much about team dynamics. In a meeting, a green will stay silent rather than risk an argument. The red in the room sees that and thinks, great, we all agree. But it's not agreement.
It's often deep disagreement hidden by a fear of rocking the boat, and that unspoken issue always comes back later, usually as a much bigger problem. And finally, we come to the Blues. A Blues operating system runs on pure logic, data, and an unshakable need for accuracy and quality. They are the analysts, the quality control, the ones who always have to know why. Blues are the reason your projects don't fail. They're the ones who will catch the tiny error in the contract that nobody else saw. They provide the structure and the detail needed for excellence. The downside? Their need for information can lead to analysis paralysis, and their perfectionism can grind things to a halt. And their worst nightmare? Vague feedback. They need specifics.
Now, a Blues intention is always to get it right, to avoid mistakes. But their blind spot is that they often can't see that their endless quest for just one more piece of data is really a way of avoiding the risk of making a decision. While they're analyzing, that perfect window of opportunity might just slam shut.
And this right here shows you the clash of two operating systems perfectly. When faced with a new project, the red says, I've got 70% of the data, let's go, we'll figure it out. The blue says, whoa, hold on, I need 110% of the data, we have to plan for every risk. Neither is wrong, a great team needs both, but understanding this difference is everything if you want them to work together.
Okay, so what do we do with all this? This isn't just interesting theory. This is the practical toolkit you can start using in your very next conversation at work. So if you're talking to a red, get straight to the point. Start with the conclusion, the bottom line. If you send them a long email that tells a story before the ask, you have lost them. For a yellow, it's the complete opposite. If you jump right into a project problem without first asking them how their weekend was, you've blown your chance to connect, and they won't really be listening.
With a green, if you want their real opinion, create a safe space. Ask them one-on-one or send info ahead of time so they can process it. Don't put them on the spot. And for a blue, giving them vague feedback like, I need you to be more strategic, is torture. It's useless. They need data, they need examples, they need a clear path.
Look, a framework like this is only powerful if you actually put it into practice. So I want to leave you with one final, very practical challenge.
Here's the challenge from us at Growth Academy. In your very next conversation with a colleague, just try to notice what's their operating system. And then, what's one small adjustment you could make? You don't have to change who you are. Just tweak your approach to meet them where they are. Make that one small, intentional shift, and then just watch what happens. The results might just blow you away.